Gorillasaurus. Iron Kong versus Gojulas. Discuss. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Eye of the Empire Army. Pow, pow, fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory for the Gylos, that's the trick. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Eye of the Empire Army. Pow, pow, fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory for the Gylos, that's the trick. But even Iron Kong can be made better. A superior breed built to the letter. Bow and salute for the new Gorilla Zoid. The Iron Kong Mark II is now employed. With his booster pack, the Mark II is fast. Able to avoid the cannons is fast. This advanced Iron Kong matches his foes. Even Gojulas Mark II feels the woes. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Eye of the Empire Army. Pow, pow, fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory for the Gylos, that's the trick. But again we can improve the design. Iron Kong signals the Xenobot sign. Iron Kong Mark II limited go forth. Fast, deadly and strong, he makes the Zoid course. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Eye of the Empire Army. Pow, pow, fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory for the Gylos, that's the trick. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Eye of the Empire Army. Pow, pow, fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory for the Gylos, that's the trick. Design. Iron Kong signals the Xenobot sign. Iron Kong Mark II limited go forth. Fast, deadly and strong, he makes the Zoid course. Oh, but again we can improve